Hey guys, Jamerson here with my second video in a series talking about competitive Apex Legends. Today's topic is going to be what are the best legends to use in top level Apex Legends scrims. As of the making of this video, there are currently 9 characters that are playable, but only 5 of them are used about 99% of the time in competitive matches. When speaking about competitive matches, I mean the Apex Pro competitive Discord scrims and league matches. The running theme you'll see amongst our top legends is that they are both great duelers and they provide a wealth of utility to the team. The first legend, and keep in mind this is in no particular order, amongst our S tier legends is Lifeline. Lifeline has the second smallest hitbox in the game, making up for the fact that she has no mobility inherently in her kit, unlike the other legends in this list. Her passive, Combat Medic, reduces the channel time for consumable items by 25%. And that leaves the option to hand off any legendary backpacks to teammates, so more people on your team can benefit from that kind of passive. Her passive also gives her the ability to revive teammates faster and provides a shield to protect her from gunfire. The shield is great, but it can serve as a huge beacon telling other teams that you are vulnerable. During revives, you'll also be susceptible to nade spam because the shield doesn't offer protection from people lobbing in arc stars. The biggest strength of Lifeline, especially in a competitive environment like the scrims or league, is her tactical ability, the Drone of Compassion. The heal drone allows teams to conserve their meds and subsequently build up or maintain a strong economy going into the mid and late games. The value of Lifeline's dock becomes even more apparent when you and your team are stuck with subpar loot off of spawn. With the aid of dock, your team can indefinitely stay in and heal through the first ring. This gives you the option and time to continue to loot until you're satisfied with your inventory. Being able to heal through ring damage also leaves open the option to rotate through the ring if you feel that you might be gatekept at the edge of the zone. Finally, we have Lifeline's ultimate, the Care Package. In most competitive matches, you won't be able to just hold W on squads to take loot. You're going up against teams that are much better than your average pub squad. The chances of winning an engagement is closer to 50-50 at this point, and in the early game this may be too much of a risk to take. Play passive long enough and Care Package can provide the necessary upgrades to armor and equipment. Given Care Package's incredibly long cooldown of 6 minutes and most matches lasting about 26 minutes, without the aid of ultimate accelerants, you can expect to call down 4 Care Packages. I have to drive home the point that the abilities of our S tier legends have multiple uses. The Care Package itself can act as a barrier. It can provide cover in areas that usually don't offer any. Call down the package and in 15 short seconds you'll have something to hide behind. And that's it for Lifeline. Our next legend is no stranger to high level play, and that is going to be Wraith. Having the smallest hitbox in the game along with mobility in her kit makes her a force to be reckoned with in skirmishes. Her passive, Voices from the Void, is probably the weakest amongst our S tier legends, but it can still be useful. If your team is trying to camp a position, it can warn you that someone is aware of your presence, and that can be taken into account when it comes time to move out of your location. So, still useful for the team. It's the tactical ability Into the Void that makes her a strong fighter. You can use it mid-fight to avoid damage from grenades and ultimates like Rolling Thunder or Defensive Bombardment. And if things go completely south, you can use it to disengage and dip from a bad fight. It even synergizes well with her ultimate, Dimensional Rift. Wraith's Dimensional Rift is a great relocation tool. It can help your team set up a crossfire or rotate across large swaths of the map. The ultimate can also be used to taxi items. Let's say you just want a team fight, you have the high ground, and you don't want to give it up. As Wraith, you just pop the Dimensional Rift, jump down to the death boxes or even a care package, and taxi items back to your team while your teammates keep watch over you and your surroundings from the safety of the high ground. When combined with Into the Void, Dimensional Rift opens up interesting options for rotations through the ring. As you don't take damage from the ring while using Into the Void, you can leverage the movement speed gained by the ultimate to avoid taking excess damage as you play Scout and Trailblazer for your team. By cutting down the travel time for the rest of your team, you will as a whole squad take less damage when forced to move through the ring. One final use for the Dimensional Rift is to control the entrances and exits of a building. Let's say your team is trying to hole up inside of a building and another team has the same idea. By placing portals at either entrance, It can serve as an early warning system to your team, as the sound of moving through Wraith's portals are quite loud, and enemies can oftentimes be disoriented if you make sure your portals are faced outward. Bangalore is up next on our list of S-tier legends. She has the second largest hitbox amongst the S-tier legends, but she makes up for that in speed in the form of her passive double time. The 30% movement speed she gains whenever her passive is procced is prime for frontline fighting. It's helpful for repositioning mid-fight or even disengaging altogether. Her kit overall offers a lot of utility to the team. Smoke Launcher, her tactical ability, can be used to cover your movement and rotations, but more importantly, cutting off an enemy team's vision during a fight. Now, its usage is dependent upon every situation, but more often than not, it's best to smoke a team directly, as that cuts off the maximum amount of vision from the opposing side. A huge strength for the Smoke Launcher is that the only real counter is to have a digital threat sight, so it becomes very luck reliant as to whether or not your enemies can counter it. Bangalore's Rolling Thunder is one of the strongest ultimates to have in competitive matches, especially during the late game. Early on, you can use it to cover your rotations. It's even a great disengage tool, but it's also an effective way to dislodge teams from high ground or even protect your own building from approaching enemies. When it comes to the 4th, 5th, and 6th zones, Rolling Thunder is incredibly strong as a zoning tool against rotating teams. It can do a lot of chip damage and serve as a deterrent, forcing enemy teams to either take the ultimate damage or take the ring damage. Now, the AoE may be massive, but timing is always going to be key. The 4th legend on our list is the newest addition to the Apex Legends roster, Octane. Octane does come with a small hitbox, and we talked about this before, combined with mobility that makes for a lethal fighter. His passive Swift Mend nearly always provides value throughout the game. It is a slow heal over time and requires you to not take any damage for a certain period, but once you find yourself in a safe position, you'll be able to conserve your medication and, most importantly, maintain a healthy economy. The tactical ability Stim is from where Octane draws his mobility. It allows you to give pursuit to opponents, and conversely, you can use it to tactically retreat. Very few legends are going to be able to match the mobility of Octane, especially with a 2-second cooldown on Stim. It's in Octane's launch pad where his value to the team becomes apparent. It helps you gain a high ground position which you otherwise would not be able to reach, or at the very least, leave yourself very vulnerable while climbing to obtain it. A great aspect of the launchpad is that you can destroy it after use and subsequently denying it from your opponents. So they're going to have to commit a zipline or a launchpad of their own if they want to wrestle the high ground away from you. Launchpad also offers some interesting rotation options, which is a topic I'll cover in another video. There are some imaginative locations where you can get your team onto out-of-bound hills, creating alternate paths for yourself. Play around with it yourself to see what kinds of out-of-bound situations you can exploit. Our latest addition to the S tier of competitive Apex Legends is Pathfinder. Before his hitbox changes, teams toyed around with him, but now that his hitbox is broken, he is used quite frequently. With his arms and legs virtually invulnerable, that leaves just his torso and head targetable to fire, making him a scary opponent to go up against. His passive, Insider Knowledge, can prove invaluable for teams, especially in competitive settings where you can find yourself competing with 12 to 14 teams for positioning in the 4th zone. Knowing where the subsequent zone will land affords you the ability to pick and choose your fights in a smart manner. Pathfinder's tactical ability, Grappling Hook, allows him to grab crazy angles before a fight or even use it as a disengage tool. With the ability to traverse such long distances, it could buy you enough time to get clutch heals off before re-engaging. Now, being a strong fighter is only one aspect of our S tier legends. They also have to provide utility for our team, and for Pathfinder, that comes in the form of the zipline. Of course, it gives you access to high ground, but when combined with Rolling Thunder, you can swiftly traverse land that your opponents wouldn't even dare to approach. And that's it for our S tier legends. Once again, this list is specifically geared towards the competitive side of Apex Legends. The other 4 legends are not currently on this list because they are either not great fighters or they offer little to no utility for a team. Now in your public games you can use any of the 9 legends and be successful, but these are the top 5 that are used within the scrims and in the league. I know in my last video I said I would be covering both legends and weapons, but this video took me a lot longer than expected to actually make. So I'll be covering the remaining 4 legends and the weapons most used in competitive Apex in future videos. I've also tried a new format here where it was a little bit more freeform in that I didn't have a scripted VO. If you've got feedback for me, please leave it in the comments section below. And if you liked the video, please hit that like button. Also consider subscribing to the channel so you're notified when my next video goes live. And as always, I'm Jet Set Jamerson, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.